Notice, the following video contains mentions about suicide and self-harm. Please advise. There is a mental illness that results in drastic social withdrawal, constant negativity, and suicidal thoughts. It has turned people into hollow shells, poisoned emotions into pessimism, and destroyed all aspects of a person's life. Depression. What is this terrifying disorder? What causes it? And can we prevent it? Depression in a nutshell. Depression, also known as major depressive disorder, is a common and serious psychological disorder that results in a negative impact on one's thoughts, emotions, and actions. Depression can result in a range of conditions, ranging from changes in appetite to sleep disorders. One in 6 people will experience depression sometime in their lives. It is important to note that depression is not the same as feeling sad or down. Everyone feels under the weather at some point in their lives, yet in a relatively short time, the emotion will go away. Depression is not another short-lived emotion. Rather, it is an illness, just like the flu or COVID-19, and requires treatments tailored towards the individual. Causes of depression. There is still further research required to investigate the causes of depression. However, scientists have hypothesized that a range of different factors may result in depression. The environment that a person is subjected to affects a person's likelihood of developing depression. For instance, a person who has been subjected to abuse has a high chance of developing depression, likely due to the stress that the person experienced. Events that causes stress and negative emotions, such as being unemployed or witnessing the death of a loved one, can result in depression as well. Loneliness also plays a role in depression, as those that are chronically lonely will experience stress from the lack of friends. Additionally, no one will be able to care for the person once depression kicks in. The misuse of medication that alters the chemistry of the brain may also cause depression. A person's biology may cause depression. People whose family members develop depression are also likely to develop depression. For instance, if your identical twin develops depression, there is a 70% chance that you will develop depression as well. By examining the molecular structure of the brain, a lot of scientists have concluded that monoamines, a class of neurotransmitters, are responsible for depression. Monoamines include serotonin, dopamine, adrenaline, and noradrenaline. Scientists have noted that serotonin in particular seems to be linked to depression. Serotonin is responsible for causing happiness, so a lack of serotonin in the body results in depression or anxiety. Some studies have discovered that people with depression have a smaller hippocampus, the area of the brain responsible for forming and storing memories. Scientists do not entirely know why this is, but many suspect that a spike in cortisol, a neurotransmitter that is responsible for the body's response to stress, can result in a severe shrinkage of the hippocampus. The hippocampus contains serotonin receptors, suggesting that stress can indirectly result in depression. However, a recent study seems to indicate that the level of serotonin alone does not contribute to depression, if it has any large effect on depression at all. This is just one example of the murky and hazy science surrounding the research on depression, and more research has to be done on it. Meanwhile, the amygdala appears to be another region of the brain that is affected during depression. The amygdala is the region of the brain responsible for emotions, and in depressed people, the amygdala is enlarged. The long-term effects of the enlargement of the amygdala are still ambiguous at this stage. Symptoms of depression. The symptoms that result from depression occur over a wide range, though we will cover more of the important aspects. Firstly, depression can result in an increasingly hopeless and pessimistic view of the future, although it is important to note here that not all pessimists are suffering from depression. Hopelessness is often accompanied by other negative emotions such as sadness, tearfulness, and emptiness. A loss of interest in pleasurable hobbies occurs, where a person might withdraw from sports, entertainment, and friends. This can isolate them from the rest of society due to their appearance of coldness and aloofness, perpetuating the developing vicious cycle. Mood swings arise as a person's temper and tolerance decreases significantly. Anything and anyone can become irritable, resulting in sporadic and occasionally violent outbursts, mixed with periods of devouring sadness. Insomnia, hypersomnia, and parasomnias are all results of depression. We formed a detailed account of sleep disorders and their detrimental effects on the body in a separate video if you want to learn more. Significant appetite changes are also noticeable, with effects that can result in a weight fluctuations of up to 5% every month. Both cognitive and physical functions begin to slow. People with depression have a harder time concentrating, making decisions, and remembering things. Simultaneously, fatigue and lethargy overtake the body, with a horrifying accompaniment of inexplicable physical aches that do not go away, even with medication. Reckless behavior, such as excessive gambling or drug consumption, can be conducted, worsening the circumstances. Finally, self-blame and guilt can infect a person's thoughts, poisoning them with the belief that they are worthless and deserving of contempt. Self-harm or even suicide can follow. How to cure depression. One of the largest roadblocks to curing depression is not the lack of available resources or technologies, but the social stigma that surrounds the illness. More than half of all people suffering from depression do not seek treatment because of the fear of being discriminated against by others. These discriminations can range from insults to losses of occupations. Thus, a lot of people who could have been cured never sought treatment. The first step to curing depression is recognition. You have to acknowledge that you are suffering from a major depressive disorder. Acknowledgement is not a sign of weakness, but of wisdom. What makes depression have such a great longevity is its self-enforcing vicious cycle. The symptoms that depression causes will accelerate depression itself, repeating the loop. For instance, if depression results in recurring feelings of hopelessness and purposelessness, depression will be reinforced. Although it may sound trivial, thinking positively will greatly alleviate depression. Positive emotions such as gratitude and hope break the vicious cycle that depression enforces. Positive emotions also allow for a person to will themselves to exercise again, which studies have shown to aid in symptoms as effectively as medication. One positive emotion in particular has caught the minds of scientists: optimism. Optimism generates a positive self-enforcing cycle. As the more motivated a person becomes, the more they desire to enjoy life and the more they look forward to the future. Additionally, optimism increases resilience to stressful or traumatic events that potentially trigger depression, thereby lowering the chances of or curing depression. In many cases, though, thinking positively is not enough to cure depression. Psychological therapy is a widely used treatment that involves an experienced psychologist conversing with a person diagnosed with depression. The system is tailored to the individual, so every counseling meeting will slightly differ. Often, psychotherapy is used in conjunction with antidepressants, medications that counteract depression. It is not yet completely understood how antidepressants cure depression because of the complex interplay of so many factors, but it is currently thought that antidepressants work by altering the neurochemistry of the brain. Antidepressant consumption must be monitored and approved by a doctor, as there are potentially dangerous side effects associated with it, such as sleep disorders or indigestion. Electroconvulsive therapy, or ECT, works by sending electrical signals to the brain to create a seizure, which seems to alter the brain chemistry to alleviate symptoms. Scientists are not sure how and why it works, but more than half of patients receiving ECT recover from depression. Conclusion: depression is not a trivial over-exaggeration about an irk or a simple matter. It is a dangerously powerful mental disorder that requires just as much attention and treatment as physical diseases and illnesses, such as splintered bones or blood loss. There is still so much to be learned about depression, from the precise mechanisms in which it interacts with the brain, to how therapies cure it. Humanity is still a long way from leaving our prejudices and biased opinions about depression behind, which is unfortunate as it hampers curing the disorder. To spread the word about abolishing prejudice, we encourage you to join petitions and organizations dedicated to this cause. If you or someone you know is suffering from depression, please seek the treatment that is required. We encourage you to look through our source document and investigate the further possible treatment options.